Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGenEd. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts. And so this is Crypto Corner Sat Stacker for Saturday, July 19th. This is something I do every Saturday, just going over 19, I think 19 now, different cryptocurrencies, 18 of which I hold. And yeah, I'm just kind of going over my thesis, which is more or less outlined here in this graph, which was first featured in this video entitled Happy ETHster, which came out on ETHster on April 20th. Here is the link to that, also going to be linked in the description of this video, so you can check that out. Basically, at that time, I was talking about how I thought that Ethereum could be bottoming there at around $1,400, and now it's trading around, I think, $3,500. I'm not exactly sure. We're going to dive into that in this video. And then also in prior videos, I have kind of done a breakdown of my thesis, going over a table of basically what I'm doing, how I'm managing risk, all of that time horizon. And there's also going to be a link to the video, the Crypto Corner Sat Stacker, where I most recently kind of just done a breakdown and overview of that thesis. But generally, the thesis is based on Ethereum hitting a bottom here at $1,400, and based on this red trend line that has served as kind of a topping level in the past, maybe it would be a topping level in the future, which could be around Ethereum at $8,000. So that is my price target for the end of the year. But, as always, I may be wrong. Anybody, may be wrong. Maybe wrong in the right way, the wrong way, upside, downside, whatever. So I've actually started to think about how I wanted to manage getting towards 8,000 in case it doesn't get there, because, if it does hit 8,000, maybe that's a level that other people see rushing to move coins from wallets to exchanges. And, I think that I should just have a better strategy for trimming as we approach 8,000 in case we don't actually get there. So I'm taking risk off the table. So I'll probably break that down a little bit in this video, as I have been moving my coins, my tokens, to and from exchange, to and from wallet, to be trimming. Really just to be managing that risk. And, a big part of this thesis has been not only these technical levels, but also the number of bearish memes that have come out specifically around Ethereum. Everybody hates it. And this is one that I actually saw last Saturday after I did Sat Stacker. And, I wanted to include it this week. This guy offering this man a brain and saying, no thanks, I'm long Ethereum. And so that's me. I am long Ethereum. And really, if you think about it, I feel like I've gotten more familiar with this as a YouTuber. A lot of times, what is trending is the exact opposite of what you want to be doing. So some of my most popular videos were actually, at times when one should be more cautious, or whether that's bearish or bullish, whatever it is. And, the most popular videos tend to be kind of, reversal signals. The most popular memes tend to be contrary to what should actually be going on. And so while everybody is bearish on ETH, it is up more than 100% since those lows that were hit around, I believe, for Ethereum, April 9th, but for a lot of other cryptocurrencies around April 7th. And then one final note on Ethereum, before I get into the analysis of all of the coins, really comes from this post, which I shared. This is coming from Altcoin Daily. I do watch their videos every day, do enjoy their takes. And this is just on Tom Lee's new Ethereum treasury company, which is traded under the ticker symbol BMNR. I think it's Bitmine. I'm not sure exactly, but they now hold over 300,000 Ethereum at an average price of $3,500, just about right there, per Ethereum, worth over $1 billion. And, so I kind of take this as, and this is maybe inspired by somebody asking me about Ethereum or saying that they're late to it. I think this is a sign that, this is really just beginning because, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tom Lee. He does granny shots. He's been a long-time Bitcoin bull, but I didn't really get introduced to him or familiar with his takes until probably the fall of 2024. And, I think that he's just been spot on with a number of things, the V-shaped recovery in the stock market, Bitcoin, and now Ethereum. And, so if he's going long Ethereum right now and his average is 3,500, maybe he gets some dip buys, maybe he doesn't, and it just goes higher. But I think that this is a good level to be kind of comparing to if one is able to get in below this average. I think that could be a great performer. Again, whether it's over the span of this year, 2025, or looking, safer further into the future. I think that, this is really just a sign of a beginning. Even though this is more than 2x above the lows from April. So I would be encouraged by this and, not trying to be mean or anything, just trying to have fun. But, in my tweet, I said that, to me, this marks the beginning, and that if you are feeling like you missed the boat on Ethereum or, some cryptos, I don't know, none of this is financial advice, really just having fun and documenting my journey. But in my opinion, in my view, if you're looking at this average price for such a big firm with over $1 billion invested in Ethereum at 3,500, you are not late. You're just scared. And then a little pussycat there. So, and the way that I have approached crypto has just been, daily dollar cost averaging, whether that's $1 a day or, really up to like $40 a day. So, yeah, I think that with Wall Street's entrance into crypto, with the current administration embracing crypto, I think that the bull cycle that we're seeing for the remainder of this year, maybe into 2026, might look a little bit different with getting to even higher all-time highs, whether that's with Bitcoin or creating new all-time highs. With Ethereum, as we are still not yet up there. So I still think that we're early. I still think that this marks the beginning. So I just think that, if one is starting to establish a position at these prices, maybe just do, like I do, like $1 a day, $5 a day, something like that, a cup of coffee a day. Like if you do buy a cup of coffee a day, start making it at home and then do $5 worth of ETH. I think that's seems like a good strategy. But again, not financial advice. I have no idea. I am just trying to manage my risk and manage my emotions. And so that's what this little serious Crypto Corner Sat Stacker is all about. Just documenting my journey. And so with that being said, let's flip over to the list for the week. 19 different cryptocurrencies here. I'm just going to have Ed step out of the way for a second so you can see all of them there. I will be going over them in order, and they are listed from, the ones that I'm most heavily invested into, that, I have the most risk, most exposure to at the top, versus at the bottom. I almost bought some Fartcoin, but did not. And, I'd be up more than 50 or 60%, I think, right now, if I had bought. But, whatever, that's how it goes. But yeah, I'm just going to be diving into this. And also, I don't usually do this, but if you are new to the channel, if you do enjoy this kind of content, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. I will be doing videos like this with timestamps every single Saturday for the rest of 2025, just kind of documenting my journey and hoping that it's helpful for you guys as well. But yeah, let's dive into them now, with the first one on the list being Bitcoin. As we all know, ticker symbol BTC. I'm just going to populate the market cap data as well as the price, see what my percent P&L is. and where that's taken us, on this journey. We will do a little comparison at the end. And these, just so you're aware, at the beginning of this, just so you're aware, these are my daily dollar cost averages and or dip buy prices, some of them trim prices, the exchanges that I use for them, and then also I do use a hardware wallet, a Trezor hardware wallet, for storing my crypto when not trading them. But anyways, I'm going to get back to Bitcoin, ticker symbol BTC, to look at that market cap data. So let's go back over to Chrome to look at Bitcoin at the top of the list with a market cap of $2.3 trillion. Just gonna, I don't think that copied because it wasn't highlighted. I'm just gonna copy that and then come over here to paste that number into this spot, divide it by 1,000,000, and we can see the market cap has gone up over the past week. Last week it was around, really actually pretty close to where it's at right now, $2.3 trillion. And now we're looking at, still around $2.3 trillion. So not much of a difference there. And then now let's look at the Bitcoin chart to get the closing price for Friday, July 18th. The closing price for Bitcoin was 118.02305. So 118.02305. I believe I got that correct. Let's see. Yep. And so we can see that now I am up. My P&L is I'm up about 31% on my Bitcoin. The levels that I had for, questionable, maybe wanting to add at or trim at, which they're in red because I don't plan on dip buying, or at least didn't last week, and trimming. Bitcoin's my retirement effectively. So I'm not planning on trimming that. But my add level was 113, trim level 135. And so we're not there yet. The 113, not there either, but maybe that's, a level we'll want to look at in the chart, just kind of, reevaluate that. And so, for majority of what I'll be doing for all of these tickers is going to be doing Fibonacci either retracements or extensions to try and identify levels that these coins might be pulling back to. And so we do have this Fibonacci retracement going from the low over here from June 22nd. And then I need to adjust the high actually, because we did go a little bit higher. So just getting that dash line to line up with the top of that wick there. And we can see that the 382 is around 113,700, somewhere around there. Does also seem to correspond pretty nicely with this orange line that, potentially has some historical significance there with the tops, kind of approximately intersecting with them back in 2021 over here, and then over here 2017. That orange line, and then the red one corresponding with the highs from the last high, the final high from 2021, and then over here 2024. And so we are trading above both of those trend lines. So I could see a pullback to either the red one or the orange one. And, let's think about that. Psychologically, what stands out to me on the chart? One thing that stands out to me very clearly is this low that was hit on July 15th. That was at a price of 115,697.37. And so I could see us actually sweeping that low to shake out any, weak-handed bulls that might have a stop loss at that low, thinking, well, that was the low. We're going to be putting in higher lows, probably not going lower than that. So I could see, with spreads and, just making sure getting the fill, I could see 116 acting as a good level of support potentially. And with the current price being around 118, that's down around $2,000, a little bit of a dip, not super huge, but then we also do have that 382 at around 114, just rounding that up for the spreads. But one other thing that I could do, and just making sure I did adjust that, I am actually going to add another level to this, the 236, and kind of keeping with this kind of rainbow theme or whatever, I'm going to make that one purple, or maybe like that. I think this purple's a little bit better, so I'll do it like that. And that level is going to be around 117. And I don't think that is an important level to be paying attention to because it's basically where we are at. But with, that where we are at, it does look like we are consolidating up here above this red trend line. Does look like it could be a bull flag and then breaking higher to the next level up. And so we could do some Fibonacci extensions to get an idea of where that could be going. And so let's see, I've got to have some Fibonacci extensions up here that would, yes, be suggesting this level. I need to put the label on the far right side just so we can see it labeled on the left, on the right there. So yeah, we could see that over there right around 135. So that's how I got that, trim level, this being at 135. 883, 84, but with spreads, with the amount of time to move from exchange to, or from wallet to exchange or whatever, any complications that might come about, I would think that 135 is a good level to trim at. But like I said, I don't plan on trimming my Bitcoin, just trying to really gauge, what's going on, see how well I'm kind of predicting these things. And so let's see where that Fibonacci extension, what that's based on. And so, yeah, that's kind of a bigger picture. Let's see, I just need to adjust this a little bit so we can see where the bottom of that is. And so we can see that that originates from the low from April 7th up to the highs over here and then down to here. That's how I get that extension. And, I could do another extension from like here to there and then down, or here and then, but that just gets a little too much. So I think that, 135 is still, a good trim level. So I'm not really going to adjust that. I do think that the doodle is still, approximately pretty good, that there could be a dip there. But I do think that, the level to potentially add at would actually not be last time I had a level at 99,000 for a dip buy level, and the week later I upped it to 101, and then that week it dipped down. 99 would have been filled. So maybe I should have more conviction in the level down here. Maybe I'll just mark this right there, and I should probably make that green because I would think that's like, a dip buy level around, whatever that is. Doesn't have to be exact, but yeah, around 116, I guess, is the low there. Yeah, 116 would get filled. So I'm just gonna adjust this, not to the penny, but I am going to do that to the $1,000. 116 seems reasonable to me. But I think that the more aggressive ad level, that would maybe be a level to accumulate some buy orders at. If I round up my weekly buys, the extra over multiple weeks, maybe then we would see a dip down to like 114. Right around that 382. So that's going to be the dip level that I consider for next week for Bitcoin. That's going to be 114,000. And then the trim level still 135. And so I am going to make that yellow because I do need to place an alert there. I don't have orders yet, but this is one that, I'm thinking about maybe placing a buy at. And the reason for that is because, I do daily buys via Strike, great exchange for only Bitcoin. And, I just think it's a great, I would encourage checking them out if you're interested in Bitcoin. But I do daily $40 buys. And the reason for that is because I want to be doing approximately $250 a week. And if we do, $40 times 7, that's around 280. So I effectively, from 300, I'm going a little bit over the 250. But if I do 300, then I have kind of a $20 spare. And so then maybe I could do that for a dip buy. So I might add that over here to do, $20. plus the $40 daily buys. And yes, so I think that what I'm going to have to do is make this, let's see, how do I do that? Okay, so I should be able to do it now because I don't think it's a number anymore. Oh yeah, I'm not going to highlight it, but I changed that to yellow. That tells me that that is an order that I need to place. I don't have it placed yet. And that $20 dip buy, which I imagine maybe over the course of multiple weeks, I would stack up $20 every week to then, maybe it get filled if we sweep the lows. Oops, wrong one. If we do come down to, 114 over here. So I am going to make this text black, highlight it because that's an order that I need to place, and I do need to place an order on that, but I haven't placed it yet, so that is why it is highlighted. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about Bitcoin. I think it's going to continue higher. I think, and 135. I mean, I could do another, let's see, Fibonacci extension, let's say from the lows over here after the up move, consolidation, the lows from there up to here, and then pulling back. We could see where that might be going. That's around like 134, 133. So that does, match pretty well with the 135. So I'm not going to do that. I don't need, the macro or the micro extensions. I'm thinking bigger picture. So yeah, there is that. And now we are going to come back to the list to check out Ethereum, ticker symbol ETH. Pretty excited about this one because it's finally been performing pretty well. I like Ethereum a lot, even though other people don't. That's fine with me. I don't care. I'll stack while they meme. And so now coming over here, always number 2 on the coin market cap, around $430 billion. Oh man, $430 billion market cap. So we can just copy that over here, paste it into this, and it does look like it has gone up over the past week, as I'm sure we are probably not surprised. Last week, the market cap was around $350 billion. Now it's around $430, so a very nice move up there with the market cap of Ethereum. But now let's check out the price here looking at this. This is a tweet from Eric Trump, which I don't know why it doesn't show up anymore. It's not really that important. That's when he was saying buy the dip. We are now above that, and I should note this is on the weekly time frame, so I am going to adjust this here because we want the daily close from yesterday, July 18th, and that was 354967. So 354967, and so now, wow, I'm up 60% on my ETH position. That's pretty nice. Everybody was so bearish, man. They were wrong. I was right. So feeling good about that. And let's see, my average is around 2,200. Would be nice if it was 22 and 22 cents, but it is what it is. What were the levels, the add levels, the trim levels, which again, both are red. I don't plan on trimming just yet. And my plan for Ethereum is, I do think that it's going to get to $8,000 this year, but if in case I am wrong, my plan is to start trimming on a weekly basis rather than adding on a daily basis, and maybe trimming on a daily basis, I'm not sure. But once it gets up to and above $6,000, and then if it goes below, then I would get back into adding again. And so I just have to monitor that a little more closely when it does go higher. But anyways, the trim level 2600, I don't think that was hit, but the level, as you can see in green there, 3600, that was hit. We did get a little bit of a pullback from it. So I think that was some spot on analysis that I have there, which is based on the 100% Fibonacci extension. We did hit a high yesterday, it looks like on the 18th, of $3,677.40 based on the Coinbase data, did pierce that 100% Fibonacci extension, now pulling back some. But, I think it could just be continuing to truck along, continue to be going higher. And let's see, 26, that was right around here. That did not happen over the past week. So I'm going to have to adjust, the dip by level. Where is that? And so this is the Fibonacci retracement that I had drawn from the low here from July 22nd. Clearly, we've broken above the high over here. And so I'm just going to kind of move that up a little bit to right around, that high there. And very interesting, the 382 does seem to correspond pretty nicely with my doodle, which is around $3,100, which I find to be an intriguing level because, people might be looking at Ethereum and saying, man, I missed the boat. I want to be in on it, but I don't really want to be buying in 3,000. I'd rather wait for it to dip to at least 3,000, if not lower. At most, I guess I should say, at most 3,000, wanting to get some buys in the $2,000 to $2,999 range. But maybe we don't get that. Maybe we get, some moves down to close to 3,000, but not quite, just enough, just far enough away so those orders don't get filled, but people get tempted. So yeah, I could see the dip buy level now being around 3,100. I like that. That is compelling to me. And then let's see, for the Fibonacci extensions, I have this one up here so far. Let's see, how did I get that? Okay, so this, I did that from the lows over here on April 9th during the tariff turmoil or whatever it was called, Liberation Day, was it? Going from the low there up to the high here and then pulling back to this low marked over here, lined up with that low. That's how I get that 100% extension up to around 36. And so, something that I could do is, maybe a retracement or an extension, I should say, from the low here up to the top here with the theoretical pullback to down here around 3,100 to see where that 100% extension might be. But, what I could also do is just do a 1.618 extension to see where that would bring us. I'm actually going to remove this 786 because we're clearly above that now. And so let's look at the style. I'm going to remove that, and then I will add the 1618, as you can see. So we can just take a look at where that might be. And so, where is that? Is that 4,500? So a little bit shy of the, all-time highs, which is around 4,800, 4,500. If I said 4,500, if I said 4,500, yeah. I'm not trying to say 45,000. And so, yeah, 4,500 maybe, but I think 4,000 would be like a psychological level. And so we can actually do another Fibonacci extension just for fun, comparison from the low over here, right around there, being approximate up to the high here, and then like a pullback to that, 382 retracement. See where that would be bringing us. That would be bringing us to around 46. So, well, I do think 4,000, could be a level of resistance, a psychological level. I think we could go past it. But getting to like 4,515 or even 4,600, I think that might be a little bit of a stretch. So maybe what I want to do with this Fibonacci extension, maybe be a little bit conservative. I'm going to add that 786 back on it. That would be bringing us to around 4,293 or like 4,300. But considering spreads and all that, maybe 4,200. Also, it's like a 420. So I think that's fun. That could be a trim level. And so let's, come back to this and look at my weekly stuff. So what was the ad level for Ethereum? That was going to be around 3,100. So 3,100 right there. I don't plan on buying it, but that is one that, might be of use, might be of interest. But I do need to make that yellow because I do need to at least adjust my alerts. And then the trim level, what was I saying? What was I saying for that trim level? Around 420. Oh, So I might do for this one 4,200. You're going to guess the next number, 69. That is where I would think that's potentially, a level to be trimming at, above 4,000, but not all the way up to 4,500. Maybe the week after we get up to 4,000, we would get up to 4,500, looking at those Fibonacci extensions. But yeah, we have not yet hit that. So that is why I'm going to make yellow, because it hasn't been hit and because I need to adjust my alerts. But I don't have any orders placed. I don't plan on placing any dip buy or add levels or purchases or no trim sell. I'm not going to do any of that. Not just yet, at least, I should say. And so my daily dollar cost average is going to be, for Ethereum, 36.25. And the reason for that is if I pull up a calculator, we do 36.25 times 7. That's about $250 a week. The reason why I have that 25 cents is actually an additional 35 cents approximately, is because on Robinhood, they tend to, I feel like it's kind of a way to make you think that you're getting a better deal. They place the orders and then it's like, then you get, 35 cents back. So usually my daily buys are around $35.90. And so that multiplied by 7 days a week is about $250. And so that's kind of my strategy there with Ethereum. So really, not too exciting, but, systematic, routine, and it has worked out pretty well so far, being up 60% on my ETH. Very proud of that. Happy about my thesis, happy I've been making these videos, and I hope that they are helpful for you guys. And before I get on to the next one, I did make a cup of coffee that should be at a nice temperature now. So I'm going to have a sip. And fun fact, I don't know if you can see what this mug is. You guys are probably not that interested. But this is an icebreaker, a German icebreaker mug from a German research institute. And I actually purchased that mug and I think I ended up getting it for free because they screwed up some bookkeeping. But I purchased that mug on their research vessel at the North Pole in 2015, 10 years ago. I believe it was September 7th. It might have been September 9th. You could actually look that up online if you're curious, but I'm sure you're not. You guys really just want my opinion on Dogecoin, ticker symbol DOGE, as we all know. So let's take a look at that market cap, populate that data over here, ranked number 8. If you can see it just above Ed's head there, Dogecoin around $36 billion market cap. Copy that number over. I imagine it's gone up over the past week, and we can see that it has. What was Dogecoin's market cap last week? Around 29 billion, and now we can see that it's around 36.5 billion. So looking good there. Let's come back over to this ETH chart to pull up the Doge data, which, because there's not as much data on Coinbase, I am actually going to look at the data, the US dollar data from Binance. That's what I've been doing on a weekly basis. You can see my little rainbow retracements in the Bitcoin orange Fibonacci extensions. We can see this is on the daily, so that's looking good. And we can see, wow, this is going up. Got some wicks up, though. We did close yesterday on July 18th at a price of $23.60. So let's populate that over here. And we can see that for this one, up 36%, so not as good as my ETH. And that actually makes me feel pretty good because, while I've been holding, stacking Doge longer, my thesis here has really been centered around ETH. And so it makes me proud that, it's been so far a pretty good thesis, managing that risk stacking on a daily basis. And so with Doge, it looks like my average is still around 17.4 cents. I have not been doing daily dollar cost averages, and I actually did trim out last week, which it did not hit my trim level here at 27 cents. which I might be adjusting for next week. But the reason for that is just because I'm green on Doge. It's speculative. It's a meme coin, although I would argue a meme coin that has more utility than something, like Pepe, for example, or Fartcoin, that a Doge, it's its own chain. I think that it does have a lot of utility, very easy to move, and it's not, thousands of dollars or even hundreds of dollars. And it could be making its way up to $1, making it a very nice unit of exchange. So I think that there is actually a lot of utility there. It's also a lot of fun. Do only good every day. It also has a good mantra. So yeah, I like Dogecoin, but it is pretty speculative. It is pretty high up on the list. So I'm just going to be doing, like I was doing daily $1 DCAs, I'm going to be doing basically once a week $7 trim. Kind of regardless what the price is, as long as it's above, my average. And so I am just going to make that $7 there, that trim. I am going to make that yellow because I need to, place that order. And then I do apparently have a dip buy order placed, which I might also need to adjust, which we will look at the chart for. And my trim level, I guess I should say, is 27 cents. I had trimmed a little bit to $7 at around 20 cents. So not super green, but a little green. And getting close to 27. So what was the high? So far today on the 19th, the high was 25.81. But actually, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's first talk about, the pullback level. Where might one want to add? For me, I wouldn't really want to add any higher than my average because I feel like I just add too much when it's green, and then when it's red, I don't have enough on the side to be buying the dips. So what I probably want to do is, like I did with Ethereum and Bitcoin, is adjust this Fibonacci retracement. So going from the low of the 22nd of June, and then now adjusting it from this high now to the high that we've currently hit today so far. And that would suggest the 382 being at a price of 21.43. And since I did trim last week, actually I did trim out 7 cents, I'd be all right with getting my average up a little bit, although I did trim at 20 cents. So buying back at 21.43, that doesn't really make sense, but I'm going to be trimming, after this video where it's at up here on 24, so buying back $7 worth at 21.43. And also, that does correspond with the high from July 11th, which was 21.41. Very nice matchup with that 382, but let's say it pierces that, it goes a little bit lower. So let's just say 21 cents, I think would be the nice dip level for Doge. And so I'm just going to do that over here now. So I will just do 21 cents, and I'm going to just do that to clean it up a little bit. And so that would be a level that I would be willing to add $7 to. So, nothing too crazy. Don't have an order placed. But now let's look at the trim level. Where might, I want to trim at. And so that's going to be around here, 27. And that's going to be based on, this Fibonacci extension going from the low of April 7th up to the high here, then pulling back to these lows from June 22nd. And that 100% extension is around 27 cents. But since we are getting very close to that, maybe I want to adjust that because I do think that it could be going higher. So maybe what I will do is add the 1618 just to see where that's at. That looks like it's around 35 cents. But maybe it actually doesn't get that high. I was actually thinking about the consolidation lows over here, that having been support in the past may end up being some resistance because, there were buyers here, and, they've been in the red for so much time. Maybe they want to catch a breath of fresh air and trim a little bit, take some risk off the table at break even. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line right around there. Let's see, horizontal line here. And let's just see, that's around 31 cents. So I'm just going to adjust that to exactly 31 cents because might as well. And so we see those consolidation lows, some wicks down to it. And yeah, so 31 cents, that seems appealing to me. That's being more greedy and or less conservative, going above 27, but not going all the way up to 35. So, it could be more greedy. So yeah, that trim level of 31 cents. So I'm going to do that there. And I do plan on trimming. I do need to adjust that. So I'm going to make that yellow. And now we can come back to the list. But I'm just going to have another little sip of coffee here. Enjoying my Saturday morning recording this, although it's noon where I'm at now exactly, so I can't say morning anymore. But yeah, let's go on to the next one, which is going to be iExec, ticker symbol RLC, one that's very speculative, as you will see, a very small market cap. I remember I was living in Seattle by the water on my phone, Coinbase, and I bought some RLC when it was like, topping. So I've been a bag holder for, since 2021, but I got my average down more aggressively down to around, let's see. Oh, and actually before I need to color this dip by level yellow there because I need to adjust that. Sorry about that. But I did, do an addition for RLC, and that was just $100. What was my dip level? It was 96 cents. As we look at the chart, we will see that did not get hit. And I'll kind of tell you the story about that in a second. But getting ahead of myself, let's populate that market cap data. It's going to be at the very bottom of the list here, ranked at number 423 market cap, now up to almost $81 billion market cap. And so let's populate that here. And so that did go up over the past week. Last week, 81 billion. I meant 81 million. It's a very small market cap. Last week it was 75 million, so it has gone up some, but it did pull back some, I believe. Let's check out the price, the closing price from yesterday. So RLC, US dollars on Coinbase, and we can see that the closing price, big wicks up there, so maybe pulling back some, but the closing price for the 18th was 112.81. So 112.81, and I've been down very massively on this, but now I'm down. I've been down like 60% on it. Now I'm down less than 30 or down 34%. So getting better, getting that average down. I guess, what was my average last week? My average was 176. So, $100 dip buys, it's not really doing too much. But it is doing something. And, this is one where I think that, this just brings back memories. I believe during the pandemic, I was holding some Ethereum, and it's like, finally, I'm getting a breath of fresh air. I'm going to trim some at break even. You don't want to do that with crypto because then it's just going to go, massively higher. And so while there is a lot of risk that I have being exposed to such a small market cap crypto, I do think that it is one where I will want to wait to start trimming, not at break even, but much higher, and trimming, not trimming down so aggressively that it moves it down on the list here, on the risk list, but, just kind of incrementally doing $100 in on a weekly basis approximately. I should be doing $100 out once we do start to get up to those levels. So yeah, with that, all that being said, let's look over at the chart to look at, what the pullback level might be. So I do place another $100 dip buy. Yeah, I think that for this, we're going to have to do, just extend this Fibonacci retracement up to here. And so that would be right around 103 is the 382, but round that up for, spreads, whatever. And we can see that's around 104. So I am going to put that in here. But let's also think about, that 96 cents that I had over here. Over the past, 7 days, what was the low here on Tuesday? The low was 103, so didn't get to 96. This was on Sunday. What was the low on Saturday when I was making the video? The low is 101. So yeah, 96 didn't get hit. So, maybe this time around 104 does get hit. So, I'm fine with that. And then what's a level to the upside that this could be going to? So I got this Fibonacci extension here. What's that based on? What is that based on? Okay, so that looks like it's kind of, is that it? No, that's, where's the other point? Probably further into the future. What I need to do is move the labels to the right. So I'm not looking back in time. I'm looking forward in the future. And then just, line this up a little bit better. So this is like, going to that low down here. And so right around, let's just do it like that. And so we can see from that Fibonacci extension, which is going from this low up to the high here and then to a lower low. So the 100% extension is going to be higher than the low over here. And yeah, so a couple of things about this. The 100% is around 270. That would be really nice. That would be, a good little trade there for me, whatever percent up that'd be. But we also can see this yellow downtrend potentially acting as some resistance as it has over here. And that does seem to kind of coincide with the 786 here around 230. Let's round that up because it could be going up a little bit higher. So let's say 230. Maybe that's a good level to trim at. And so what did I have? 186. Why 186? That's right here, corresponding with the highs over here. Yeah, but, I think I could make more money. Getting a little greedy, but not super greedy. I'm moving this up from 186, making a little bit of money, a little bit of risk off the table to saying, hey, maybe, if it does go up to 186, then it's like, well, then maybe I should move some back onto the exchange so I could trim up at around the 786 there at around 230. So I think 230 is going to be the trim level. I am going to up that. Maybe it's greed. I don't know. Yep. So those are a couple levels that, I'm going to be paying attention to. 104 to the downside, corresponding with this 382 right here, right around 104. And then to the upside, if this gets some big moves, 230. Then after that, maybe 270. And because this could be going up really high, 450. I'm not trying to fantasize about this or anything. But, if I'm just going to be trimming on a weekly basis, I could really be taking some nice profits very casually. Although, if I was to be greedy and to wait for like 16, how many days do we spend up at, at 16? We spend like 2 days, so let's say it takes a day to transfer. With RLC, it's pretty quick. But, let's say it takes a day because of congestion, whatever, because that's going to be a factor. I can't expect to be selling, all the way up there. So, yeah, I'm not going to be too greedy. I'm going to start trimming, but I'm not going to be trimming at break even or like this 186. I think I can be a little bit more. I think I got a little bit more conviction over the past week that, we are going to be seeing an alt season and that a ticker company like iExec, ticker symbol RLC, that does have some aspects of AI in it, could be a really great performer. So I'm going to wait for 230, but that's me. This is DGen Ed, so take it all with a grain of salt. But yeah, got that placed. And then so now the next one on the list is going to be Ethereum Classic, ticker symbol ETC, not to be confused with etc. And the market cap for it is, let's check it out over here. I believe it's going to be number 37. 32. Okay. 32 Ethereum Classic right here above Ed's head. And it's $3.5 billion. So I can copy that, paste it over here. And so I got that in there. And I'm imagining this went up, about 3.6 billion dollar market cap. Last week it was around 2.7, so it's gone up pretty notably. Feeling good about that. Yeah, I mean, last week I was in the red. I was down 16%. Let's see where I'm at now. If I'm even negative, I'm not sure. I know I'm not. But yeah, let's come over here to RLC and then type in ETC for Ethereum Classic US dollar from Coinbase. And we can see what was the closing price from yesterday, that big green candle. Very nice. On the 18th, the closing price was 23.18. 23.18. Up 7%. Very nice. And so I was actually buying this on a daily basis over the course of the past week for $1 daily dip buys. But I stopped doing that yesterday, prior to yesterday's buy. So I only did 6 buys over the past week. And I did do a trim, as you can see. And this was at 24.33, and the reason why it was not at 22, which I believe is what I had marked it as, was because for me to transfer from my Trezor wallet to Robinhood, it takes about 4 hours. And that was after a long day of work. It was like 1 in the morning, and I had to get to bed. So I went to bed, woke up in the morning, saw it around 25. I was like, just place the order. That's, $2 extra bucks. Just sold one. But that's a nice little gain there for me. But for the week moving forward, I am not going to be doing daily dollar cost averaging. I will instead do the $7 dip buy. But we have to figure out what level that is going to be at. I had previously marked the dip buy level at 17. And then the trim level at 22, which we are now above. And I adjusted that here based on my fill. So I guess what I should do is maybe come over to this so we can look at the data here or the info for Ethereum Classic. And let's see, what's a pullback level? This could be coming back to. And so one that stands out to me very clear is going to be around $21. It's going to be corresponding with the tops over here in May, as well as the tops over here in March. And so and over here, wow, look at that. Given that was, some prior resistance, maybe it's going to pull back to that and act as support. And so that's at 2104, but let's just round it to around 21. And what I might do, since I was thinking that might be acting as resistance again, now it's going to be flipped to support. We can move this Fibonacci retracement up to the high so far for today, which is around 25.95. And we can see that 50% retracement is at 1932. But what I've been looking at, is the 382s. And I've been looking at those as blue lines, so I'm going to adjust that here. And that does correspond pretty nicely with 21. So kind of a confluence of levels there. And this is kind of, like, a breakout, retest, continue on. So if I were to doodle that, I would doodle it like this. And so I could see that. So the dip by level for Ethereum Classic is going to have to be 21, and I'm going to have to, mention that I would plan on buying one more, or actually $7. I guess it'd be $7 worth, or maybe I just buy one more. I'm not sure. I'd probably just do $7 worth. Don't want to get ahead of myself. Just, keeping it cool, keeping it easy, and let's think about, where it could be going to the upside if it does continue. So this Fibonacci extension, I was like around 22.75, just rounding that down for the spread. That's how I got the 22. But that's based on the low over here from April 7th up to the high here and then down to this low, just stretched out a little bit over here. And so that's around 22.75 as I had said, but let's add the 1618 to that. So we have another level to the upside. That's around 27.85, or we could just say 27. But that also does seem to kind of correspond with this consolidation over here. And so I could see, like the consolidation lows right around where the cursor's at, this acting as some resistance. And so that would actually be a trim level, so not a green line, but a red line, sell, trim, whatever. I'm just going to do green and red. That's going to be right around 25 bucks. And so while that's marked at 24, I'm just going to change 24.90. I'm just going to change it to 25 just to keep the whole dollar number, whatever. So that would be the next trim level for, actually, we're basically at that. I think I do have, and I'd be trimming. Let's make a new rule. Let's make a new rule for Ethereum Classic at least. If I do trim one Ethereum Classic at 25, then I would buy back one entire Ethereum Classic at 21. And if that doesn't get hit, if 25 doesn't get hit, then I would just buy, the $7 dip buy to represent $1 per day for the week at 21. And so I feel fine about that. And if it doesn't then pull back to 21, if it starts to rip faces off, I would just chill until next week to decide on the next level that I would trim at, which presumably at that point would be much higher than 25. And so I would also be fine with that. So, but actually, yeah, I think that's kind of fine, because what could happen is maybe it just consolidates here for a week. But what was that high? 26? I think I'd be selling myself a little bit short, but it's also about managing risk. And so sure, I'd be selling myself short a little bit, but I'm not like offloading all of my Ethereum Classic at break even to bring it down on my risk list, because it is pretty high up there. But yeah, I don't know, 27. Maybe I'd split the difference. Maybe that's a compromise. Rounding this down from 27.85 to 27 and then splitting the difference between 27 and 25. I think that's actually pretty reasonable. And I don't think that's me being greedy. I think that's me being reasonable. I think it's going to go a lot higher than 26, but over the course of the next week, maybe not. And so this trim level is going to be 26. And so I'll adjust that. I need to adjust the alerts, and I do need to place those orders. So I'm making that yellow. And then so now we can look at the next one on the list. I'm just going to have another sip of coffee. Going on for almost an hour now. Hopefully just an hour left. If not less, I tend to go a little bit quicker towards the end. But yeah, let's look at the next one. Oh, was I going to do a daily dip buy? Yeah, or dip buy 7 and then a trim. Yeah, but this for Doge, that's a little bit special because I'm just going to be doing like the weekly type of thing. So anyways, yeah, let's go on to the next one, which is going to be Ondo, ticker symbol ONDO. Let's check out the market cap for Ondo. Coming over here, just below Ethereum Classic on the list, ranked at number 36. Ethereum Classic moved up a little bit more than Ondo did over the past week. This is about $3.2 billion market cap for Ondo. But I do believe it did go up over the past week. And so let's see, what was it last week? 2.7, just like Ethereum Classic, but now it's at 3.2. Let's check out what the current or the closing price from yesterday was for Ondo, and that's going to be US dollars on Coinbase. And so the closing price from yesterday, the 18th, was 1,00772. So 1,00772. And so it looks like I'm up 15% on that. So feeling good about that. I did chicken out on buying last week. That's why it's orange. I was considering it. But, I don't think I should be just, throwing tons of money, whether it's at Ondo or whether it's at RLC. And really with RLC, I did not buy at the beginning of the week, and I bought even though it was not at my dip buy level, because I just saw it partially because it was my half birthday. I like to celebrate a little bit. And so I treated myself to some RLC. And also because I just saw it, I might not be getting it back at $1 again. So I did buy some, and I think I bought some at 110, somewhere around there for RLC. But with Ondo, it was right around my average, which is 88 cents. I said, I'll just wait, do the RLC, see what happens. Then maybe I get some Ondo. And so I didn't end up doing that. Now it's above my average. And so I don't really want to be getting my average up. So I'm just kind of chilling. But maybe if I trim, then maybe I won't want to, get the average up. Just, trimming at a level that I don't necessarily want to sell at, and then buying back above my average on a pullback to kind of compensate. So that difference, I would have made money there. While still maintaining, same amount of risk exposure to Ondo, although minus, whatever I would have profited, but then also stacking more Ondo relatively. So, yeah, so let's look at the chart and think about some levels that it could be pulling back to. And so we've got this. This is, I think, an inverse, Fibonacci retracement to the upside. And so we are stopping right around 102. And this did pierce. Let's see, what was the high yesterday? July 18th, 109,336. And so that was, a trim level. I didn't trim though, because it was just, quick wick. And, yeah, so maybe this is something that I want to do. Maybe this is something that's interesting for Ondo, is to consider. I don't think I'm going to be getting my average down at 88 cents. I think I might be raising it, but maybe I would trim at a level I don't want to and then buy back at a level that would increase my average. And so I actually don't really like this inverted Fibonacci retracement. So I'm just going to go with, let's see, where could this be pulling back to? What I want to be doing is going from the low here, approximate low, up to the high that we saw yesterday. And the 382 is going to be around at 91 cents, but then I'm going to round that up to 92. And that does seem to kind of correspond with, resistance here. So that does make sense. So 92 cents could be a nice level. I think there's like a little gnat in here or something. That's why I keep flipping the fingers around. So yeah, 92 cents is what I'm saying. Getting my average up a little bit. So, yep, I'm going to add that over here to 92 cents. That is one I would plan on buying the dip on if it's conditional, if I do trim at 109. And so that is going to be based on this little Fibonacci extension, which is basically just, double top here at 109. I do think that, it could potentially be going beyond that. So let's add the 1618, just out of curiosity. And then I'm also going to drag this over some more. Maybe not that far. But yeah, 109 right there. And then this would be like 138. If that seems good. And that could potentially, be like corresponding with this going up there. Yeah, so a trim at 109 or something, and then to buy back some. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could see it consult, like I could see it do something like this basically. I didn't mean to draw an arrow. It's got an arrow on the end already, but anyways, I'm just going to delete that. But I can see that happening. And so like if I trim here, it's like, okay. And then I buy back here and then it goes up. So I could see that. That would be like ideal. May not happen. But really, just taking some risk off the table is fine in my view. Although, yeah, because then that would be to like add back. That is the thesis. And then if I don't add back, then it would be like, okay, then I'm just going to chill and let it run some. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. So 109, I think that's good. 92, I think that's good too. And yeah, I mean, because this is already pulling back to like 102. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Well, let's see. This is, gotta work out the thought process here. Let's say I do get a fill at 109. And then it's like, okay, well, maybe it's not going to pull back to 92. Maybe I'm being greedy there. So maybe I want to do the 236. And I was thinking purple, but maybe I want to do light blue. No, that's kind of too close to green, so I'll do purple. And so that would be around 98. Yeah, but, I don't want to be adding now, getting my average unless I've trimmed. And so, this seems like something that it could do before going higher. So yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable. So that's kind of my doodle thesis for the week, although that probably spans more than a week. But yes, so which might be extended up to 98. So we will see. Yes, so I think that's all that I wanted to say for Ondo. And yes, that's still like conditional depending on the trim, so I gotta do that. Okay, and then so now Litecoin is the next one on the list, ticker symbol LTC. Let's check out the market cap for Litecoin. It can be a little bit higher up, ranked number 21, and that's a $7.7 billion market cap. You can just throw that over here. And it did go up over the course of the past week, as I'm sure we're not surprised. Last week it was around 6.9 billion. Now it's around 7.7 billion. And so we could see the closing price from yesterday, from Friday. Litecoin, I want to look at Coinbase US dollar. And so we can see, wow, look at that big wick up. The closing price, though, yesterday from the 18th was 101.80. 101.80. And that puts me up about 3% on that. And I removed all of my dip buys, to be honest, because I'm, taking what I have on the exchange, moving it to my wallet, and then moving it from my wallet to the exchange. So basically, my average, it's across the board rather than having an average that's lower on the exchange than what's in my wallet, because the goal is to be getting the average down on my wallet. And also, so whether or not the exchange knows what my average is, I know what my average is. I keep track of it on a spreadsheet for tax purposes. I'm not fudging any numbers. I'm just keeping record of my bulk Litecoin or whatever coin it is based on my average across exchanges, across wallets, rather than, if I was buying the dip on the exchange and then selling it, I'm going to owe more on taxes on that than if it's average with my higher average lot that is on my wallet. And so, yeah, I'm going to have to add a $7 dip buy for this. And we can see for Litecoin that I had, a dip or add level 85 that was not hit, I don't believe, and 119, I believe that was not hit. They were not marked here or highlighted. But let's look at the chart, 85 and 119. So what was the high yesterday? The high was 112, so getting close to 19, but not so much. And then, yeah, we've got this Fibonacci retracement here. I can make that go a little bit higher just to include the wick from yesterday. And so actually, before I do that, that was 90 cents. I said 85. Which would have been this 50%. But yeah, let's adjust that back up. And then the 382 would be around 94. And so what's my average? My average is this. So yep, 94. That would be getting my average down. So let's do 94 there for, an add. And then the trim is 119, maybe a little too aggressive. I don't really think so. I think that's still possible. And it's still, coming down to the low over here from this low, high, that low. Get the extension up to 119. So I think that's totally fine. Trim at 119. I don't have to adjust that or anything, but I do need to. So I guess I don't need to adjust the alert for that, but I do for the add. And I do need to place the orders. So there we go. And yeah, so that's kind of it for Litecoin. And then we could go on to the next one, which is going to be Solana, ticker symbol SOL. Let's check out the market cap for Solana. I believe it's going to be number 6. Well, got good memory. So that is going to be, a market cap of $95 billion. Oh, man. I have this plant in my little studio office that doesn't usually bloom flowers. I was surprised that it started to grow a little shoot, had little flower buds. And unfortunately, it's attracted a lot of ants and maybe, this gnat that's flying around. But, it's just kind of interesting to see a plant that's, you would not expect to have flowers. It's just so happy. I've actually had 2 plants that are so happy they produce flowers that I did not expect. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of embracing that, but, maybe I need to cut it off and throw it outside, get those ants and the gnat out of here. But yeah, anyways, the market cap from last week was 85 billion. Now it's 95 billion. So it's gone up quite a bit. But let's check out that price of Solana, SOL. And that is going to be from Coinbase down here, US dollar. And so the closing price from yesterday on the 18th was 177.34. 177.34. Looks like I'm up 19% on this one, so looking pretty good. And I did trim. I didn't trim. I didn't trim Solana. I trimmed some other ones, but I didn't trim. I also didn't dip buy. And so we'll look at those, but I will want to dip buy this week. So I'm going to make this yellow. I do need to place that order. But what is the level? What is the add level to consider? And so I had it at 142. I feel like that's going to be in the rearview mirror. Let's check it out over here. So we got this Fibonacci retracement. That still looks like it's legit. That would be like 152 to the 382. So 152. But maybe round that up by $1, 153. But, yeah, and also, like, just to kind of extend this a little bit over, that kind of makes some sense around there. Maybe 150, but I don't know. Let's see what the 236 is. Oops, that's not deep enough. So yeah, 153, but maybe it doesn't go all the way there. So maybe, it comes back something like, actually, well, I'm just going to extend this first over. And so what I could see is, me really wanting it to get to 152, but it does something, like, oops. It does something, like this. And then goes up, and I don't get my fill there. And so that would be around 157, but then let's split the difference, 157 to 153. It's going to be 155. So I think 155 is a fine trim level, add level. For Solana, 155. I'm going to need to do that, adjust the alerts and adjust the orders. And so let's just, consider then what is the trim level, which was not hit last week. And that is going to be 217 up here. That's based on this Fibonacci extension going from, higher lows and then up to here. So 217, that's staying the same. So I don't really need to adjust that, but I will need to, the orders. So yeah. And this, trim, I don't need to adjust that. So I'm going to make it, there we go, like that. Because it's the same as it was last week. So, yeah, so that's kind of my Solana take. That 217 to the upside, 155 to the downside is what I could see happening there. And now let's check out the next one, which is going to be Cardano, ticker symbol ADA. Let's check out what the market cap is for Cardano. It's going to be number 10 usually. Yep, number 10 right there. And the market cap is around 29 billion. Crazy that Dogecoin has a larger market cap than Cardano, because like Cardano has like, I would say, more legit utility. But Doge is fun. So 29 billion. Let's see if that copied. There we go. And what was it last week? The market cap for Cardano was 24 billion, so now 29 billion, so looking better there. Let's pull up the chart now, ADA, looking at it on Coinbase, US dollar. And so the closing price from yesterday on Friday, July 18th was 81.66, 81.66. Looks like I'm up 19%, looking good there, you know, feeling good about that. I did trim at 86 cents, so I trimmed higher than it is now, so I feel good about that. I had a limit order placed, so I didn't have to worry about it. 86, pierced it and pulled back. What was the high yesterday? The high was 89.61, but probably wouldn't have gotten a fill there. So 86, great. Pull back, feeling good about it. Happy about this. But now let's think about where it could be pulling back to. Since I did trim at $7, I'd be okay with, you know, adding, even if it's getting my average up a little bit, because I did trim at some profit. And so here, you know, the 382, which does kind of correspond with the consolidation over here, a little bit of consolidation here, just above this little rejection there. It's around 75 cents, 74.89. So I could see 75 cents acting as a nice little dip buy level there. And then trim. What's the trim level? I've already done 86, so I am going to want to adjust that. But what would I adjust that to? Yeah, I'm going to be boring. I'm just going to add the 1618. That's the next level. It's going to be around $1. Let's just say $1. Psychological level. This is saying 107, 107, 108, somewhere around there. But like $1. Where's $1? And it really hasn't been that. It hasn't been too significant, but that's just right around here. You know, $1. I don't even need a line. You know, we get it. $1. That makes sense. So I think that will be a trim level. And, you know, if it does go up, just like over here, pierce the level and pull back, maybe it barely gets up to 107. Maybe I wouldn't get a fill, and then it pulls back. So I get a fill at $1. So that's good. I'd be, you know, happy about that. So let's just do $1 there. And I'm going to need to adjust that, adjust my alerts and my orders. So feeling good about Cardano. You know, I'm just feeling good. I feel like my thesis is starting to pay out. You know, it's just at the beginning of paying out. That's what this one's all about. This is the beginning. This is not the end. You didn't miss out by not buying here. Well, I mean, you did because you were following all the memes when people were bearish. That's when you want to be buying. Up here, I think that there's still more room to run. Or at least that's what I think. I have no idea, though. And then now it looks like we got a couple memes that did move up in the ranks with some utility DeFi tokens that have moved down. But we have next on the list being Pepe, ticker symbol PEPE. And we got the market cap here. Let's check that out. This is ranked number 27 in the list. And it's about $5.4 billion market cap. Copy that number over, paste it here. It did go up. What was it last week? Pepe was 5 billion. Now it's 5.4 billion, almost 5.5 billion. So looking good. And then let's pull up the Pepe chart from Coinbase in the US dollar. And so the closing price for yesterday was 401299. So 401299. Down 15%. So this is one that, you know, I should probably do the daily dollar cost average. But that's just so boring, to be honest. So what I'm probably going to do is just do, you know, a dip buy. Just one order. and if it doesn't get filled, that's fine. That's great because it's going up. But if it does dip, then I'd still be getting my average down, but I wouldn't be doing it on a daily basis. And so that, because that just gets boring, to be honest. It's very monotonous doing that every day, updating the spreadsheets, whatnot. But yeah, so the ad level that I had for last week was 4 zeros and a 1, and the trim level was 4 zeros and a 1 9. So let's check those out over here. And so, got this Fibonacci retracement. That does go to the high here, so that is still, legit. And so I would say the ad level would be around 4 zeros and a 1 3. So that 382, I don't know if you can see it, probably not, because it's kind of dark blue on a black background. It's 4 zeros, 1 2 11. So just round that up to 4 zeros, 1 3. So I will do this as, I've got to adjust the order of these, excuse me. Okay, and so this will be 4 zeros and a 1 3. And then I'm just going to increase that and make that black, because that's a level that I would buy at, to buy back some, get my average down, because I'm still negative. But then, 119, or sorry, just 19, 4 zeros and a 19. That is based on the Fibonacci extension from the low here, high, down to the low here, just extend it over some. And so that's still 119, so I can leave that alone. But I do need to adjust that. I do need to adjust alerts and orders for Pepe. And the next one on the list is going to be the official Trump coin, ticker symbol TURMP. And the market cap for Trump is going to be ranked number 51. And that is just shy of $2 billion market cap. And so let's paste that over here. $1.999 billion. Sad. Almost there. What was it last week? It had to have gone up. 1.885, now 1.999. And let's check out the price for Trump. US dollar on Coinbase. And so the closing price from yesterday was $10. Okay. Down 18%. And so, again, I don't want to be doing the $1 daily DCAs. I'm just going to do a $7 dip buy. That's fine. I don't care. Where could that be going? Where could that be pulling back to? I could just see, 20%, for me, because I don't really have more levels to add here. I could do a little baby Fibonacci retracement here. And I should also maybe note, what was the high yesterday? The high was 1094. Okay, nothing too crazy. But yeah, the 382 is like 994. It's right around $10. And, I'm curious, what's my average? My average is 1226. So what is 80%? So 20% down from 1226. So 1226 times 0.8 is a 20% reduction. 981. Could I see this coming down to 981? I don't know that would necessarily get filled. So let's just do 994. Well, actually, maybe I'll do this to the penny. What was the low over here? 831. And I said 1094. 831, 1094. 831, 1094. Wow. So the 994 is going to be the dip buy level for Trump. And I'll just chill with that if it goes low. Oops, not the one I wanted to go to. 994. And so make that black because I would plan on ordering that. But then what's the trim level? Is it still 17 up here? I guess so. Yeah, why not? This was launched and this just came down. So like so many people, oops, sorry, bumped mic. So many people, bought up here like 43, 44. So like trimming at 17, that's like nothing. but that's taking some risk off the table for me. From the low to the high here, down to this low right over here. I'm just going to extend that. No, I mean, that's extended out into the future still. So 17, I think that's fine. But then I do need to place alerts and orders, adjust them. And so, yep, nothing too exciting with that, but it is what it is. Risk management, all of that. And yep, I did not buy or sell. Or I did, do the dollar daily DCAs with Trump, which for Pepe and Trump, I did those 7 days over the past week, but not all of them. There are two more, as you can see, marked red, that I did only do 6 days of daily dollar cost averaging. But yeah, let's go on to the next one on the list, which is going to be Aave, ticker symbol AAVE. And let's check out the market cap. So Aave ranked number 29, has a $5.4 billion market cap. So just going to paste that over here. So we can see it did go up over the past week. 5.469, maybe that's a good omen. And if we do look at last week's, it was, let's see, Aave, 4.478 billion. So it did go up some. And I think I did compare with Trump. Yeah, so Aave, yeah, right there. It's gone up. And then let's check out the price of AAVE. I was saying AAVE. I'm just going to say AAVE moving forward. I like that. So Coinbase, what was the closing price from yesterday on the 18th? The closing price was $324.58. So $324.58. Up 20% on this, so feeling good. But I do need to do that. And yeah, so what was the ad level for Aave? 244. Clearly, we're notably higher than that, so I'm gonna have to adjust that. And then 380 is the trim level, and we will have to see, do I want to adjust those looking at this. And so we do have this Fibonacci retracement here, which I can extend a little bit higher up, but not much. And that would suggest 252 or so, 253, as being maybe a pullback level. And just out of curiosity, I'm going to add the 236, see where that's at. That is, I mean, to be honest, Aave's been a good performer, and that level does correspond with kind of the tops over here. But that would be getting my average up, I believe. So 285. What is my average? 285. Yeah, so I mean, I don't necessarily want to be getting my average up unless I were to trim. So we'll have to think about that. But yeah, I mean, 285. I mean, because yeah, I mean, if it does pull back to the 382, that's still, higher low, coming back to like 355. So yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave this 236 up there. I'm just going to make it purple to match that little color scheme. But I'm not going to place an order there. I would do the order at like 255. I think it's kind of reasonable, a little bit above this, and that's below my average, so I'd feel better about that. So 255, and then the trim, 380. What's that corresponding with? That's corresponding with the 786 up here and the tops from over here, so 380. I think that's totally reasonable, so I'm going to leave that one. And yeah. And because I didn't even trim last week, did I? Did I trim Aave last week? Aave, I didn't. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to be too aggressive on the buybacks if I'm not trimming already. I'm not trimming already yet, so I think that's good. I think that's fair. And so I just need to color that yellow because I will be placing an order to add there. So now let's go on to the next one on the list, just above Ed's head there. That's going to be Chainlink, ticker symbol LINK, the market cap for Link. Let's check it out over here and be higher up, ranked number 14 at a market cap around $12.2 billion. And so just paste in that over here, deleting that X. And it did go up over the past week or last week. Let's see, Aave was, where is it on here? At 4.4 billion. Oh, I'm not thinking about Aave, I'm thinking about Link at 10 billion. Where is it now? 12 billion. So that's, 2 billion increase. That's pretty good. And now let's check out the chart. Link on Coinbase, US dollar. So the closing price from yesterday was, let's see, 17,833. 17,833. Down 4% on it. So it's a little pain. I'm just kidding. Not painful at all. All of these were pretty much negative last week, and now majority of them are positive. So I'm feeling pretty good, to be honest. The wonders of crypto. Yeah, so what happened last week? I didn't get the dip buy, but I did get the trim at 19. And we can actually see that on the chart up here, 1877. The high was 1919. So that's the beauty of having a limit order placed. You set it, you forget about it, it got filled. So I feel great about that. And since I did trim, maybe I could be a little bit more aggressive on the buybacks as it does pull back. And let's see. So for Link, let's just, what's my average? I'm in the negative a little bit now. But so Link, 19 and 13. Let's check it out over here. So we got this Fibonacci retracement, which can probably be moved up a little bit and extended forward into the future a little bit. And so the 382 is going to be around 1572, or let's just round that up to 16. But since I did trim, maybe I want to be a little bit more aggressive in buying back. I don't know. Let's just see where the 236 is. That actually looks like an appealing level to me. I'll show you why in just a second. And that's going to be because it kind of corresponds with the tops over here. So I could see this doing something like that. And so that would be nice to take advantage of that dip while waiting for 16. Might be a little bit greedy. It does correspond with some support in the past, or some resistance in the past that would then be flipped to support. But, if I trimmed up here at 19, I could then buy back just $7 worth. So not even, actually, I'm trying to do the trims around $7. But so then could just buy back here. That's around 17. With it currently trading at 18, I think that's kind of reasonable. But, 17, yeah, and like sticking, the 236, that's 1705. So, not rounding that up, keeping it at 17, I think that's fine. Not being greedy, coming down to 16. So, yeah, 17 dip buy right there. And so I'll place that. And then the trim, I am going to need to up that because we have hit 19. And so the next level could be like 20, that line that I have across, or maybe we could have some fun with it and just extend this Fibonacci extension from the low to the high to the bottom here. Just add the 1618 to that. And also I'm probably just going to extend this forward into the future a little bit. And so that would be around 24, let's say 23. Okay, so, I place a trim order at 23. Because maybe it pierces that, but doesn't get all the way up to 24. I don't want to be dealing with all this cents, these change. So let's do it at 23. Just do that, and I will need to place that. And there we go. So yeah, feeling good about Link. And then the next one on the list is going to be Uniswap, ticker symbol UNI. Let's check out that. Before I get into it, just do this. Let's check out that market cap for Uniswap. And that is going to be ranked number 23 over here at a market cap of $6.3 billion. Paste that over here. And then tab over 6.3 billion versus last week when it was at 5.1. So that's a over $1 billion increase, like 20% increase in market cap. So that's pretty impressive, I must say. And so let's check out the Uniswap on Coinbase US dollar chart to find out what the close was from yesterday. That was at, let's see, 10.13.8. So 10.13.8. And so very interesting with this one, I actually, last week's video, I said my trim level was $10, but then I realized, holy crap, my average is above that. I don't want to be trimming at a loss. That's stupid. So I upped it to 10.25, trimmed there basically at break even, but then I could, now add a little bit more aggressively on a pullback. And so this, since I'm effectively at zero at break even, this would be a dip buy, not a dollar cost average. Done with that stuff, for the most part. And yeah, so what was the dip buy last week? 735, and now we're at 10, so I don't think 735's gonna get hit. But we could see, some levels that this could be pulling back to. I'm just gonna extend this up a little bit to the top there. The 382 would suggest 850. So that's an increase from where I had it before. But since I did trim out at 10, I did trim, I could add back a little more aggressively. So maybe I do want to add the 236 here. Just make that purple. And that would be around 942. 9.4, let's just round that down a little bit. So I'm being more aggressive with the 9, with the 236, but that's 942. So round that down a little bit. So I'm being aggressive, but conservatively aggressive. So 9.4 would be the add level. I'd be fine with that because I did trim at 10, getting a little bit of a discount, and let's see what the next trim level would be if it were to continue to go higher. And so this Fibonacci extension, based on the low here to this high and then pull back, I'm just going to extend this over a little bit. And that would then be suggesting, 10. So let's just add the 1618 to this to get an idea of where this could be going up to next. That would be around 1260, or let's round down to 1250. And that would be kind of getting into the territory of the consolidation over here. This was support before, could be flipped as resistance. Anybody who is buying over here might be wanting to take a breath of fresh air if prices get back there. So there could be some resistance there at around 1250. So that will be the new trim level there. I'm just going to make that yellow and need to place those. And then the next one on the list is going to be, let's see, did I make that right? That's Uniswap. Yeah. Now coming down to Avalanche, ticker symbol AVAX. And so the market cap for Avalanche it's ranked number 17, about $10 billion. Ooh, I just double clicked that. That could be a quicker way for me to copy that number if it worked, because it did. Yes, that did work. Awesome. Okay, so it did go up from last week, $10 billion. Last week it was around $8.5 billion, so gone up quite notably. And the price for Avalanche from yesterday's close, US dollars on Coinbase, yesterday's close was $23.54. $23.54. Looks like I'm up about 5%. Feeling pretty good about that. Going to need to place a dip buy order, but let's evaluate what that would be at. So I was thinking 19 last week. That did not get filled. I was thinking a trim at 27. That did not get filled. So let's consider those levels. And so I've got this little, let's see. So this is to up there. So that's kind of, the same thing basically that what I'd have over here if I extend this up a little bit. Yeah, so I'm just going to actually delete this one. Don't need all that clutter. And The 382, since I didn't trim, I didn't get that trim. That's going to be around 2150, so maybe just round that up to 22 would be the add level. 22. And that is above my average. Yes, that's, or below my average. It's just below my average. Oops, I don't want to. We'll do that at the end. And then the trim level, still, I'm going to say around 27, based on the low here from April 7th up to the high down to this low extended over, just extending it a little bit. 27, I think that's fine. So I will leave that. And then now let's check out the next one on the list, which is going to be XRP, ticker symbol XRP. And let's check out the market cap. And I hope you are not Dave Portnoy, who sold his XRP like a couple weeks ago, at the bottom before the big moves. That's, the thing. People get, emotional about this stuff. They get anxious. They get impatient. That's the market shaking you out. And he got shook out. And he does tend to have a history of getting shook out. So, yeah, too bad for him. Fine for me. I'm trimming as it goes up, not at the bottom. And so, let's see, $202 billion market cap. From last week, it was 159, so it's gone up quite a bit. And the price of XRP, Coinbase, US dollars, that's gone up quite a bit. Closing price from yesterday, the 18th, was 34158. So 34158. Dang, I'm up 50% on this one already. Feeling good about that. And let's see, did I trim some? I did trim some at 329. I did not get my dip by fill order. But let's see, 329. Where is it currently trading at? Or was that 349? So it's a little bit higher than where I trimmed at, which was right here. Wait, no. That was right here, that yellow line, 229, 329. I could have done 330. I think I was talking about it last week. That's about 330, but, don't want to be greedy. I'll just do 329. So that's what I did. I could have actually done that 1618 up here at about 360. That seems to be about where we are consolidating at. And that is all-time highs, apparently, for XRP, which is not true. That's just the Coinbase data, I believe. But it might be all-time highs. So, yeah, I think I could do another trim at 360, although that's kind of lame. Well, I think what I want to do is maybe the trim at 360, but maybe the buyback. What's the buyback going to be at? And so I'm just going to extend this up. And, I probably want to do the 236 on there, just make that purple. Or either way, it's not really good color to see, or it's confusing with the background, so I'll just leave it as purple. The 236 is at like 319, right around there. So that will be lower, so I'd say that would be the dip by low, 320. Let's round up, 320. So for XRP, 320, since I trimmed at 329, and I could have gone higher. And so, yeah, let's, this is based on, let's see, the low here to the high to the low. Maybe I could add, the 2618. And that would be at a price of 460. Dang. So yeah, I'd be fine to just, on a weekly basis, nothing too crazy. It's like $7, nothing crazy. And as price goes up and I trim about $7, I'm still gonna have some like remainder, even though I don't tend it to be exactly $7. It's just, approximate amount of XRP. But yeah, so that's at 360. Well, actually, what was the high from yesterday? Maybe I'd want to do that if it's above 366.6. So that's maybe a bad omen, but yeah, 366. I'll just do that. 366. Since I did the pennies before, I'll do the pennies again. Actually, I gotta have fun, man. I gotta have fun. Otherwise, this is just numbers and spreadsheets and boringness, you know? So, yeah, so that's kind of my take on XRP. Now let's go over to, one that I've not been adding to, which maybe I should rethink that maybe it's breaking out. I don't really know, but this is Loopring, ticker symbol LRC. Let's check out the market cap for Loopring. It's ranked number 308, 120, almost 8. Oh, there we go. I should just double click it. 128 billion, 128 million, 129. How's that 29? Wow. Okay, just jumped up. See, it moves a lot. Very volatile. But let's check out the price. LRC Loopring on Coinbase, US dollar. So the closing price from yesterday was 18th July. Closing price 927. So 927 cents. Okay, down 50%. Maybe I should do, at this point, since I'm kind of taming myself a little bit from a lot of the other ones based on dip buys, not daily dollar cost averages. So in the end, I end up spending less. Oops, and you could see, if you could look at the math there, you can see what my average is there. It's just one buy, so it's nothing too crazy. And I need to do this here. But yeah, so got that there, down 52%. 7 cents was kind of a level I was considering in the past. 19 cents, my average, was a level to trim. On the top side, what was the low over here? What was the low over here? About 7 cents. I missed that. And now, is this kind of breaking out? I'm going to delete this because I don't think that's necessarily too useful. And I'm just going to adjust this. Hey, maybe it's broken out. And so maybe it's a good time, even though this is speculative, even though this is risky. But if this is alt season, this is the time to do it. Not, over here. This is where I buy the first bit. And then not to be averaging down, just to wait. And then it's like, okay, maybe this is the bottom. Nope. Fake out bottom, fake out break. Now maybe it's starting to take off. Because we are seeing, higher highs relative to this. Maybe that's a really good sign. And so maybe I do actually want to buy this. And so this is that Fibonacci retracement from here to here, basically. But that's kind of old news now. And so what I would think, to be honest, I would think I should just buy one block of it and just kind of be done with it. Around 9 cents. 9 cents, maybe a little bit of a pullback. It's currently trading, though, around 9.4 cents. So, really what's the difference? So I think that this might be one that I do just, do something like this, consider. And I did realize that I can actually, can't see it, but it's Uphold. I don't really like Uphold that much, to be honest. I could just do it on Coinbase. It's easy. And I've already got USDC in Coinbase earning 4.1% APY, so that's good. That's nice and easy. But yeah, what are the dip levels that I want to be considering for LRC? That would be 0.094. Well, but I'll leave it like that, It's 9.4, but. And so then the trim level would still be around 19 cents because of, actually though, if I do buy what would that trim level be? So here, the 100%, based on there being a lower low, so that's going to bring the 100% extension lower than where it is over here. That's around 12 cents. So maybe 12 cents, that will be like a goal for me to get my average down to. And so maybe I'd say 12. But I don't necessarily plan on trimming there because I have not yet got my average down. And so alert, can't have an alert, order. I might actually place an order because, yeah, now's the time. Now is the time. Clearly, I mean, because like last week, maybe, but maybe it just pulled back. Maybe it was a failed breakout. This has not been a failed breakout. Maybe it pulls back some to like 9 cents before going higher. So yeah, something for me to consider with that. And so yeah, I feel fine about that. And then the second to last one on the list is going to be Stellar Lumens. This is one I unfortunately have been trimming a little bit aggressively, but I can't store it directly on my Trezor. I have to store it like via their website or whatever. So it's one that due to that nuisance, I'm kind of all right to be trimming it, but I don't trim super aggressively or anything. But let's check it out. XLM Stellar is ranked number 12, market cap of 14.4 billion. And I just need to double click that. Get that there and do that. 14.4 billion last week. XLM was at 12 billion, so gone up quite a bit. And let's check out what its price was from yesterday. So Stellar Lumens, US dollar on Coinbase. Yesterday's close with a little bit of a pullback. Was 459218, so 9218. I'm up 20% on this one. I think that I would, be willing to do a dip buy, but I got to figure out where that is. Since I have been trimming, I'd be all right with the dip buying, and we'll have to assess where that's at. I did have 32 and 45, so it looks like I trimmed at 45. I might have actually had it lower than 40. No, I probably just had a limit order placed. I'm not exactly sure. But let's, check it out. So, got this Fibonacci retracement, and 32 is the 50%. So that's probably why I had that. That's not going to be a thing anymore, so I'm just going to extend this up to the highs that we saw. And so the dip buy level would be around 40 cents. That is going to be above my average. But maybe what I could do is, just out of curiosity, might not leave it up there. 44, that's around where it's currently at. What did I trim at? 45? Trimmed at 45. So, yeah, I don't want to be doing this. So, a level that might be good for me to trim this is 40, about 44, maybe 42, 420. Actually, what's the low over here? Maybe we get a wick down to it. And so this low from July 15th was 429497. So like 43, let's say 43 cents is what I would say. 43 cents. Maybe do a little bit of a dip buy there. And then the next trim level, so this is from that. I am going to, that's the 1618. So I'm going to actually remove the 1, and then I'll do the 2618. Oops, not 32618. That will be very high. Just the 2618. See where that brings us? That's got some confluence with this, so I like that. That's 56 cents, but maybe I round that down a little bit just to be conservative to like 55 cents. So I'd feel okay with that. And then, another thing that I can do, since we did have, a move up and then a pullback, I could do another Fibonacci extension. Going from the low here approximate to the high and then back down to this. See where that would take us. And that's actually probably going to be pretty high because I think I don't have the 1 on there. I'll just leave the 1618 because why not? What's going on here with these? What is going on? Oh, okay. Those, yeah. What is this? Okay, 2. And then this is the 1. Okay, so this is from the little one that I just done. That is saying up to like 74 cents. So yeah, I'm intrigued by that because it does have confluence over here. But, just on our way up there, taking some risk off the table. And again, these are like $7 trims, for a daily, or, like a $1 daily DCA, a $7 weekly trim. Nothing too crazy. 55. I'm going to make that 56 because I think that this is probably going up to 73, 74. So let's make that 56 and do that over there. And so there's that. And then so now the last one on the list, which is painful for me because I almost bought it on the dip, but did not. And I did not rip a Fartcoin, but Fartcoin ripped a fart. But, just worry about it becoming a shard. If it rips too hard, it becomes a shard. And then that's a shitcoin. So anyways, Fartcoin, ticker symbol Fartcoin. Let's see what the market cap is for this. And Fartcoin ranked at number 64. Believe it or not, these two down here are lower, notably lower than Fartcoin. I got to do the double click thing. I got to get in the habit of that. Oh. $1.4 billion market cap. And that is over there. And what was it last week? 1.4 billion. It was 1.2 billion, so gone up about 200 million. And the current price of Fartcoin is on, I don't think I was doing this. I think I was doing this on Kraken. And Fartcoin, so freaking sad. Yesterday's close was 135.11. 135.11. I had wanted to get the dip buy at 80 cents. I almost bought it when it was at 84, but with the spread, my buy would have probably been 86. Dang it. Didn't do it. Didn't execute it. But maybe it's now time for me to move on and to actually maybe think about a level that it could be pulling back to, like, legitimately. And not just continue to mope about that. So what I'm going to do is just do a retracement, which may not. Actually, no, because I think that this is just a nice example of, I almost bought it, but I didn't. And this is a shit coin. It's actually technically not a shit coin yet. It's a fart coin. But that it could have, some real potential for some real money. So I think it's a good one for me to follow just for that lesson. But yeah, I didn't buy here. And I feel bad about it. But yeah, let's see. And let's just play a game with it. Not like on technical analysis. Not technical analysis. 80 cents, that's where I would have bought at. 84, 86, whatever it would have been. And, let's see if it can get up there. That I would not be surprised. Maybe it could. I don't know. But I'm staying away from it. I'm not getting into it. And so, yeah, coming back to this list, I got everything marked up there. I think I got all of my levels here that I'm considering. And let's look at the P&L. Hey, everything's going up. Not everything's in the green, but a lot of stuff does seem to be in the green now. So feeling good about that. The best performer is Ethereum. Got a number of them. Let's see, Bitcoin up 30%, Dogecoin up 36%. This is, I believe, XRP. Is that right? Yep. XRP, I'm up 50%. Is that right? Yep, XRP 50%. It's the bottom. Ed's in the way. So, yeah, feeling good about that. I'm getting even Loopring is starting to go up, and I've not been adding to that. I have been adding to RLC, and that's been going up. And maybe that could be getting up to break even, 20%, 80% profit, whatever, who knows. So, yeah, feeling good about that. And so, yeah, this has been just about 2 hours long. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the thesis. You know, I'm glad I don't have a brain still. I am still long Ethereum. I'm still enjoying all of the memes. And I am also recognizing that, you know, I think that this marks the beginning. I think that there's a lot more upside to go, whether that's with Ethereum, even Fartcoin, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, Pepe, whatever it is, Trump coin, you know, that one's not been a great performer. Maybe it will be an outperformer over the course of the next week. But yeah, I think if a big fund like Tom Lee's Ethereum treasury company, I believe Mine, if they are stacking Ethereum now at an average of $3.5 thousand dollars per Ethereum, worth over $1 billion, I think that suggests that, you know, this is really just the beginning. You are not late. You are just scared. Don't be a pussy. You know, no financial advice, though. Of course, just having fun. But yeah, this can be, you know, dollar cost averaging. Hopefully, I've demonstrated that dollar cost averaging is a really nice way to manage risk, manage emotions, and to participate in a fairly volatile market. Taking advantage of it. And there are also other ways that could be gotten into with dollar cost averaging, like with BitMine, ticker symbol BMNR, managed, I believe, by Tom Lee, or at least he's on the board or whatever. But there's also SharpLink Gaming, which is also, I believe, an Ethereum treasury company. Then there's also, you know, MicroStrategy and stuff like that. So plenty of opportunities in the crypto space. Hopefully you've enjoyed this week's edition of Crypto Corner Sat Stacker. But as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more weekly videos like this. Thanks a lot. Take care. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week, or, you know, in the next video. Yeah, see you later, guys.